Good afternoon, everybody. This is Dave, and waiting for some more folks to log in. We've got quite a few coming in here. We're going to be talking about the compass trading system and how I discovered it, how I use it in my trading methodology, and how it's improved my trading success in the time that I've been using it. So we'll get to that in just a few minutes. I'm going to let a few people log in, and then we'll get started. All right, good afternoon, everybody. Again, it's 1:01. So I do appreciate everybody coming to the webinar today. I know it's Saturday afternoon and Saturday morning if you're in the West Coast, and I do appreciate you taking your time out of your weekend to watch this webinar. I do appreciate it. I think you'll find it worth your while. I certainly have found this system to be worth my while, and that I've been using it. So we'll get started. And this is basically the name of the system is the compass system by Rightline. That's me right there, sitting at my desk, having people probably yelling at me. You're still looking at charts, but I do look at charts a lot, day and night mostly. But it's my desk there. I actually have a fourth monitor I just recently added. So and this is the usual disclaimer. And obviously, everybody should know that trading can be risky. You should definitely not be trading with more money than you can afford to lose. And any information that we supply is basically for educational purposes only. And I guess everybody who's seen any webinars has seen this many times. So that's the disclaimer. And anybody, I'm gonna try to keep this pretty brief. I am going to go over the indicators on the compass system, and then how I use those in my trading methodology to increase my win percentage and my results overall. But anybody, if you do stay to the end, there is a really special discount, and there's a really good price on this compass software. And they'll be adding some additional modules for folks who decide to get the software from here. There's quite a few people in here that have the software that I know, but everybody likes to get reinforced on how the system works. So the question is, how did I get here to Rightline? I've been trading for 12 years. I'm basically what's called a technical trader. I use lots of technical setups to trade, and have been doing that for 12 years and with great success. I mean, I love doing this, and it's really been a lot of fun. I mean, I really enjoy trading and want to be as good as possible. But what I've found is, and I use a program called TraderView to analyze all my trades. And what I found over the past few years, actually, that the results based on traditional technical analysis were not as effective as they have been in the past. A lot of setups that were working 90, 95% of the time. We're down to 70% of the time, 75% of the time, 65% of the time. And it was just, it didn't make a lot of sense. And what it apparently is that the amount of institutional trading that's going on right now, algos basically, which are programs written by the institutions to trade, they're taking over more and more of the marketplace all the time. And what happens is they basically have institutional traders and retail traders. They pretty much know how retail traders are going to react to specific price movements, supports, resistance, any kind of levels, MACD crosses. They know all of these things, the same thing that the technical traders look for. And they can write algos that can take advantage of that. You've probably been in trades where you see a really nice setup, and you get a breakout from a compression or a breakout from a flag set pattern or whatever. But it used to work all the time. All of a sudden, it doesn't work, and then it works beautifully. And the reason, I think, is what I found is the reason is the ones that work are the ones that the institutional traders algos are in there supporting, and they're actually creating the trend. They create the trend in the market anyway. The institutions are who generate and create the trends in the market. We retail traders don't do that. So that's what I found, and so I was looking for a way to basically combat that in my trading. How can I know with more accuracy when a trade is supported by the institutions and when it's not? And I looked at a lot of different systems. I had lots and lots of webinars, and I came across the right line system that's been around for a while, but the fellow by the name of Mark Sachs puts this together. And what it does is the compass system, it identifies the highest probability setups based on institutional trading and our other methodologies. Obviously, the setups that we use technically anyway. But what this does is it lets us know if that particular setup is being supported by the institutions or not. And one of the most important things about this system is it does find good setups. A lot of things can find good setups, but it actually allows us to sidestep trades that the institutions are not supporting. You can see when a trend is occurring if the institutions are pushing it or not. And that's a very important point, because if you can reduce the number of losing trades that you have, and even if you have to reduce your winning trades by a little bit, but you reduce a lot of losing trades, your ROI is going to be increased tremendously. You're going to do much better. So that's what we try to do. I mean, everybody has great trades. You can look at anybody who's blown up their trading account, and they can give you lists of tremendous trades that they've had. The problem is all of the losing trades that we get that we really want to bypass. So the way the compass system does this is it uses a really unique process to identify institutions and when they're driving the move and when they're not. It basically, this is kind of like what the compass system looks like. This is just a screenshot of one, but it analyzes complex trading data and displays the results in an easily identifiable visual format. So it looks easy to identify good and bad setups, but the system is actually crunching a lot of pretty complex data to come up with that. And we'll go over the indicators that are on the chart and what they mean and how they're created. I'm not going to delve into it too deeply, but I do want to cover them. So again, this visual element makes it possible for even new traders to find high probability trades. It takes more than just this. Obviously, you need to use this with your own methodology. The key thing that I use with the right line is relative strength, relative weakness stocks. I always trade those, but I can now identify if I've got a relatively strong stock, whether the institutions are in there with me. So that's very important to know. So what we're trying to do, what we all retail traders are trying to do is we're trying to get an edge over other retail traders. We're not going to take money from the institutions. That's a fallacy. You're not going to be able to take money from the institutions. We're out there trading against other individual traders, which means we have to have an edge. And every edge we can get makes us more likely to have a high win rate. So basically, what way I'm trading, my methodology is I'm only taking trades that are being driven by institutions. So when I find a stock prospect on the scanner, I look to see if the compass system is supporting it. And then I'm going to trade stocks that have relative strength or relative weakness. I can use the scanner to come up with those, and then I can compare that to the compass system and make sure that the compass system is telling me that the institutions are in there with it. And then I only trade in the direction of the overall market trend. One of the things to talk just real quickly about is people that counter trend trade. If you're got a bullish setup and it reverses and heads back down, a lot of people will counter trend trade that. They'll see it breaking down and they'll short it. And what they don't realize is that the institutions have created this trend, the bullish trend, step back for a minute, in come the retail traders, and here comes the institutions back in again to drive the trend back in the original direction, and the counter trend traders get stuck. And that's why I don't like counter trend trading at all. I just much rather trade with the trend. So that's basically how we get an edge. We have trades that are supported by institutional buying and selling, stocks that will be outperforming the SPY or the Qs, whichever index you're using, by comparing for relative strength, relative weakness, and stocks that are moving in the direction of the overall market. So we basically try to have the wind at our back on all of those particular indicators. So this is Mark's a mathematician, and he developed a software system. But what it says here is true. What I found is by using the compass system, I was able to change my performance and my overall ROI, because I was able to stay out of trades that I shouldn't get in, and also I stay in trades longer that I knew had a good trend. And this is, even though it's going to look like other systems, perhaps it's completely unique, and the way that's being done is completely unique. And this here, Mark uses this on Ninja Trader, and he trades in the morning futures, and he has 150 traders, more than that I think, in there now, that use it to basically create an edge and trade futures using what's called the compass system here. In Ninja, it's another one, but it's the same. It's the same methodology. And so I'll just zip through some of these slides. This is obviously the market consists of a lot of retail traders like us. We're in there trading, some of us every day. And then you have the large institutions out there with all their algos that are basically the people that are controlling the market. We don't control it. We have to ride their coattails. That's the way generally you're gonna make money. And this is basically the compass system. This is the workspace that we're going to see. This is on the Thinkorswim. It runs on TOS, and it's pretty easy to visualize it. And we'll go through the indicators. It looks a little busy here, but we'll go over each one of those things so you can see what it is and how it plays into working with the methodology to trade the system. And so again, this is a screenshot of the compass system. We've got some indicators down here. This is called a Laguerre oscillator, and we have 4 different lines which are going to tell us when the institutions are in and when they're partially in and when they're in altogether, just by color codes. And we've got some other things up here we'll talk about. So we'll talk about some of those things. The first thing we try to do is identify market structure that's being determined by institutional money. In other words, the trend that we're following, the trend that the market's in, it's the institutions that's doing that. And the compass system does that with 2 things. It uses a 50 exponential moving average of an exponential moving average, and a 15 exponential moving average of an exponential moving average. And I say that twice because it's smooth, and what that does is it keeps the shock of one or two kind of outsized candles that come in. It's not going to move the moving averages, the 50 or the 15, smooth like a regular 50 or 15 would. And that's important because it'll keep you in the trade a little bit longer if you don't get a real herky-jerky movement in your 50 or your 15. And these are basically the long setups. We want a green 50 with a green 15, both moving up. I mean, it's fairly easy to understand. There's red, obviously. You're not going to be taking any long trades in a trend like this. And these moves up that you see here, that's where some of the counter trend traders will get in here and boom, and see what happens. The trend is down. The institutions are driving it down, and that's the way to trade it. I'm not going to trade against that. And we have this pivot points in the software. We'll show you on the screen, but it identifies 3 pivot points, and they move with the market. If you're on a 5-minute chart, they're going to move and identify the most current ones. So basically the key to this system is to determine if an institutional trade, if a stock is being pushed by institutional trades or institutions are in there, you have to look. You just can't look at the current time frame. If you're on a 5-minute chart, just data from the 5-minute chart is not enough. You have to have data from multiple time frames, and they call it a triple screen method of data analysis. So basically, the indicators on the screen that we're going to see are being produced by looking across 3 different time frames and looking for a correlation on all 3 of those time frames. And I use time, of course, because TOS uses time. Since this can run on Ninja and in interactive brokers, you can use Range, Renko, or Uni Renko, and any of those setups. But in TOS, I'm using time. So basically, what we've got 3 metrics to determine if the institutions are in there. The trend, we're going to have a triple screen assessment of the trend. In those 3 different time frames, we want them to correlate for the trend. The Laguerre momentum indicator, which I'll cover in a minute, and that has to be also in correlation on multiple time frames. And then they do what's called a triple screen assessment of correlative markets, and this is really pretty interesting. This is what they call the quant, and I'll show you the quant line. And the quant line is really important. The quant line, let's go down with the slide here, we'll talk about, the quant line is a stock like Microsoft, for example. There's stocks that will trade in correlation with Microsoft. If Microsoft is going up, certain stocks will go with it most of the time. So the way that the quant indicator works is it takes a look at any stock or ETF that is correlating with that stock that you're looking at, whether it's Microsoft, Facebook, whatever. It looks at all of the stocks that correlate with that at least 70% of the time. If it correlates 70% or more of the time, then it's going to be included in the quant indicator. So when you've got all of those stocks trending, or the majority of those stocks trending in the same direction as the stock you're looking at, the quant indicator is going to be green. And again, it's really important because it's going to tell you that the stock is got support in like the sector it's in, or at least the correlated stocks that it's in. So again, we're going to do the triple screen assessment of the Laguerre. We're going to look at momentum, and I'm going to talk about momentum here in just a second. And this is what moves prices. It's the institutions that are doing this. So this is a slide that's talking about momentum, and this is maybe not the way you think of momentum when you think of momentum. When you think of momentum, you think of you step on the gas and the car accelerates. It just goes faster. But in the market, the way that we're looking at momentum is, as you go from candle to candle, as the close of the candle gets closer to the top of the candle each time, that's momentum. It's an acceleration in momentum. The stock price is moving higher, and the close of each candle is getting closer to the high of that particular candle. So there's more and more buying coming into that. You know, if you were looking at the actual buys and sells that were going on, a lot of times you can see that the numbers are will look increasing, but you'll get an increasing number and then you'll get a lower close. So what we're just looking at is the higher close on the candlesticks to tell us that we've got momentum. So that's how momentum is going to be judged. And if you're looking at that on 3 different time frames, and this is correlating on 3 different time frames, it's basically institutions that are driving the stock up. And it's of course exactly the opposite on the downside. You've got the stock, the close of the price is getting closer and closer to the low of the price, and that's momentum. That's what we look for in momentum. That's how we judge momentum. This kind of talks a little bit about the different kind of oscillators. There's a lot of oscillators out there. We're using the Laguerre, which is right here, but it's a modified Laguerre. And the modification in the Laguerre versus most oscillators measure 2 things. They measure momentum and they measure divergence. And the modified Laguerre is taking divergence out of there. We're just looking for true momentum. We're just looking for momentum. Divergence is, works sometimes it doesn't work. So it smooths that out, and you're basically just looking at momentum on that. And you see the other ones. There's a million different oscillators. There's 4 of them here, but we know there's tons of them. But again, the Laguerre is the one we use. Here's a chart basically of what the Laguerre does. It basically goes between 0 and 100, and as the line comes up, it gets up here and it pegs here at the top. This is all bullish up here, and then it comes down and it gets bearish. And you can see as the price movement moved up, the Laguerre moved up and then flattened right at the top, which was showing maximum amount of buying pressure going on right now. And then it starts to weaken as the stock starts to compress. So this is what the triple screen looks like, and yeah, you have to think that this is what we're doing now is we're looking at things off of multiple time frames and comparing them all. But if you've got a triple screen momentum, you've got the current time frame moving up, you've got another time frame moving up, and a third time frame moving up, and the momentum is moving up. And remember how I said we judge momentum as the price gets closer to the top of each candle, it's going to show momentum. That's what all of these are saying, the exact same thing in all 3 time frames. That's a lot of momentum, and it's really gives you a lot of confidence in the fact that the institutions are in there buying. So basically, when both percent K lines are sloping up, the bulls are in control and we get a green line. When the K lines are sloping down, the bears are in control. Obviously, we get a red line. And when there's no correlation, then you get a yellow line. It's basically it's the colors that tell us what's going on. And it seems simple, but it really takes a lot of good information and presents it in a way that you can see it quickly and use it quickly. So here's the 2 Laguerre lines. We have the modified Laguerre right here, and this is the current time frame. The next one we have is the multi-time frame modified Laguerre. This is showing what that oscillator is doing on 3 different time frames at the same time. So when you've got green on both, then you obviously are bullish. When you have red on both, you're bearish. And as the colors change here, as the Laguerre moves up and down, you go from green to blue as the Laguerre is moving down, and then it pegged it here at 100, so it's green. And then as it moves down, it turns yellow, and then when it gets below 20, it turns red. So the colors tell you where this indicator is, and I don't even have this indicator on my chart. I just have the Laguerre lines, because I can tell from the colors, that when you start getting colors that are intermixing like this, it's chopped. You don't want to really be there. This is what you're looking for. You're looking for all green. And now that's the quant line we talked about, and the Carl neural net. Basically, it's looking at stocks that are moving in the same directions as 70% of the other stocks. In other words, the stocks that move with Microsoft, we look to see if they're all moving in the same direction. And each stock or ETF that you look at is going to have different stocks that correlate to it at 70% or more. But for simplicity, let's take a look at the E-mini. Okay, this is the E-mini. So here, this is simple chart. All right, if you're looking at correlations, and let's say you're trading the E-mini, and here the E-mini is going up. If you've got the Dow going up, the Russell going up, and the Nasdaq going up with momentum on the same time frames, these would be the quants. In other words, if you're looking at indexes, these would be the indexes that trade with the particular E-mini 70% of the time or more. So this is going to tell you, if you looked at the ES on the chart, if the ES is green, if your quant is green, it's telling you that you've got correlation in the rest of the indexes that you're looking at. And it's the same thing for stocks. It's just much easier to see on a correlated basis. And remember that we're looking across 3 different time frames. That there actually should be 3 each of these, because you're looking at 3 different time frames to make sure that you've got the correlation. And another indicator we'll have a quick, because this is called the C2. I'll show it to you on the chart. It's basically an indicator that looks at momentum and chop. And as the momentum increases and the chop decreases, the indicator gets wider. The 2 lines get wider, and you can see that the momentum is increasing and the chop is out. And obviously, we want to trade stocks that have high momentum and less chop. I mean, we don't really want to be in chop, so we're much better off in stocks that have momentum and less chop. And down is red, up is green. I mean, the momentum can be in either direction. So again, here's the momentum, the triple screen, as we looked at before. Here it is coming up, and same thing here, same thing here. So these will correlate. So you see the same type of idea here across all of these screens. What we're looking at is we're looking at the 3 time frames to correlate. And here it is in the downside. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. Obviously, this is pretty obvious. This is coming down. This is coming down. This is coming down. It correlates on. So if you're correlating momentum, you're correlating on the Laguerre oscillator across multiple time frames, and you're correlating on the quant. And this is the C2 line that I was just talking about. This is what it looks like on the chart. Bullish is green, bearish is red, obviously. And you can see as you get a little bit of chop here, it narrows, and as the momentum increases and the chop decreases, it gets wider. And you can see that on your chart each time, and you can judge it based on that. It's one of the things that I use to make a determination of if I want to enter. And there it is on the downside. And again, this is where we get a sell signal here, and you can see the C2 is showing strong momentum, very little chop, and the stock comes down nicely. And here you get where you can see where it switches here. It just kind of gives you an idea, an overall idea of what's going on with the chop and the momentum, and that's important. And we have a final one, which is the confirmation. It's the bottom line of the chart, which I'll show you. It's this line right here. And this is the confirmation. It's a little bit of a longer term. It takes a little bit more to turn it from red to green or green to red, so you're getting a little bit longer time frame on it as far as when it actually switches back and forth. But it's on our chart, and we can take it into consideration with the rest of the indicators. There it is right there, all green, you can see, and then you see how it turned red here on these big down candles. And again, green, got a green trend, we got a red trend. We also have what's they call it pop signals. It's actually a pop out of the box signal. And these are, I use these things all the time. In fact, in the scan that we've got in TOS, this is one of the criteria that brings up a trade for us or a prospect for us, is that if we get a pop signal and it's a pop out of the box. And basically it's a compression, that stock that's coming out of a compression. and it finds them for us. This is kind of what they look like on the chart. You usually don't get so many, but you'll see if you've got, for this particular case, if you get a stock that's moving, compressing to the side, and then you get a breakdown below the low of these candlesticks, then you'll get a pop out of the box bearish, and you get a pop out of the box bullish here. And I use these in conjunction with the compass system when a couple of the indicators that I'll show you are when the stock is moving sideways into those indicators. It gets to basically a support level, and then I get a pop out of the box signal. I'll use that. And this is more of those. They're very useful. Also, we use VWAP, volume weighted average price, for basically areas support and resistance. Typically, when I'm trading long, I'm only going to trade long when the price is above the VWAP, and I'm only going to trade short when it's below the VWAP. You know, it's a pretty good area of support and resistance. The institutions obviously use it quite a bit. And there's the VWAP right there. I'll show it in my chart. It's a different color. But right, I wanted to cover some of the trades that I've taken just recently. This was one that I did this week. This was a CME, and if you look here's our indicators. Right, this is the confirmation indicator. This is a modified Laguerre for the current time frame. So this is telling me what the Laguerre is doing on the 5-minute chart. This is the modified Laguerre for multi-time frames. This is telling me that all 3 time frames that the Laguerre is looking at are all green and all sloping up or even at the high. And this is the quant. This quant line, this is right here, share the quant line. This tells me that the quants, the stocks that correlate with CME, are also trading in the bullish way right now. So you see I have all green here. And the purchase for me, the buy for me, was this white line is one of the resistance levels. This is the resistance that comes from the pivot points. And when the stock price broke through that, then I took this, and this is where we get out right here. As it moved up toward the pivot point, we took a 20%, a little over 20% gain on that. And this is a 5-minute chart, so that was from 11:30 to 12:10. A pretty quick trade. And CME was also very strong on the daily chart. But that's one of the trades I took, and you can see here is your 15 right here. This little thin green line's at 15. The 50 is not on here because it's well below here. And one of the other things I want to talk about briefly are these little green dots. This is called these trend dots. These trend dots are basically telling you about momentum. And as they cross or they're above the 15, that tells you that's a really good trade to take. And when I was talking about the stock moving sideways into the trend dots, there it is right there. This is the stock that's moving sideways, hits the trend dots here, you get a pop out of the box. I waited until it broke through the resistance line, and then took the trade right here, and you can see it's still green all the way up, and you see over here they turned yellow as the stock went sideways. So that's telling you that the trend is fading. Obviously, you go into some compression, and it gives you a good idea to get out of there. And this pink line is my VWAP. So when I take that trade, you can see that it looks really easy because it's all green, everything's moving in the right direction. But all of this information is complicated. That the crunching of the numbers, it's very complicated to get what's happening right here. And that was a nice gainer. And I have a few more of these I want to just show you. This was 5, and this was a put debit spread. One of the things that I use a lot are debit spreads, both put debit spreads and call debit spreads, and I use them on a weekly time frame. I use them for expiring this week, and I have really good success with them. I can go into the details, but it's a little bit more complicated. I don't have time to do all of that. But this was 5. This was a put debit spread. I took it right here this was a daily candle, but you can see it's been really weak. We took it here, and I kept it overnight, and it popped down here, and we got a 50% winner. And I think we get in like about 3 o'clock in the afternoon and out like about 9:45 in the morning. But it was a 50% winner and really nice. I mean, it's, again, you can see that it's not hard to see that this is a short. You know, here's a 15 moving down, the dots are moving down, everything's red. It's easy to see. This is American Express. I did this one, I think it was just a couple days ago. And again, this American Express on the daily chart, and I took a call debit spread on this. And get out the next morning, we get in here and out right here on this candle, on this pop. And that was a 30% gain overnight. I use options, so I mean, I get a lot of leverage in options, and I like using options. The system works fine for stocks. If you want to trade stocks, then you can trade stocks. But I mean, I trade options because I like the leverage. I can't take every stock because of option liquidity, et cetera. But anyway, so this is where I get in on that. Popped up here, a nice 30% profit on that thing overnight. And again, we had the indicators telling us that that's what we want to do, is the trend dots just moving up through the 15 right here. And CME again, I had another nice trade in CME. This was a day trade that we did, and it was, I think it was yesterday actually. And it was a call debit spread. Did get in here. Again, we're looking at the indicators here. We got all green, right? Green. We've got you can see the dots moving up here. This was a pivot point, so I get in as it went through the pivot point. I got in, and then the stock compressed. Now when I use this information to get in, I'm not getting out just because I've got compression here, because I still like the stock long, and the daily chart on it was really nice too. So I just stayed in it. And then when I got this pop right here, I took profits on the debit spread. I had a 20% or a 25% stop on, not a stop, but I had an order in to sell it at about a 25% gain. And we get out of that 23.8%. Doesn't look like a big huge move, but it was a nice gain. And here's one, Verizon, another quick trade. I get in right here as the stock broke the VWAP. We got green. Blue, by the way, is also bullish. As it goes from yellow to blue, that tells you the gear oscillator is moving up. And so anything blue or green is a buy. So I got here as it, again, through the VWAP, and get out right up here as it hit the resistance level. And that was really fast. 10.15 to not even about 10.20 to about 10.45, and 14% profit on Verizon. So these are just examples of I kind of wanted you to see what the methodology looks like that I'm using, how I use the compass system to basically add on to technical analysis of relative strength, relative weakness. If you've got something you're looking at a compression breakout, or you're looking for a bull flag breakout and it's got there, it's on there. If you want to know if the institutions are pushing that move and you want to join it, this is how you find it out. I mean, this is how I know that the institutions are in here. This was on NVIDIA. Again, I had buys here. It's moving sideways, but I had a nice setup on the daily as well. It was coming from a fairly low point. But anyway, it moved down here, and I did a CDS on this. I kept it overnight, and this was the pop in the morning. Everything was green, then it fell down. But in the morning, I got out at 42.5% profit as it popped up to the resistance level there. So that's those are basically the trades that I took with that, and it kind of shows you the methodology I use, which is, I'm looking for breakouts. I mean, I'm looking for compression and breakouts, but I'm looking for institutional buying, institutional selling that are creating the initial trend and now actually creating the breakout. So just a quick cover this. This is, again, I think it's the most powerful software and trading methodology available. To the retail trader, we need edges. And this is really a big edge. I mean, for me, this was a big edge. When I started using this with my trading, it's made a huge difference. So just join the right line trading team. I'm not going to do any of those. Again, the benefits and features, it's easy to learn. The workspace, as you've seen, is really intuitive. It's easy to see the indicators, what they mean to you. It's good for beginners, yes, because it's much easier to teach someone to trade if you've got something that's visually easy to use. I mean, obviously, there's a lot to trading. It takes a long time to learn to become good at it, but it helps to have a starting point that is easy to visualize. Obviously, it's perfect for any account size, and you can trade stocks and you can trade options. It's very, very flexible like that. I mean, people trade the futures off of it as well. I mean, it's like anything. It works for anything that has candlesticks and has information like that. And I think this is one thing that's really important. One of the things I really try to do is to help people become successful at trading, because it made a huge difference to me in my life. And to be able to trade and have financial freedom, to be able to, even if you're just looking to supplement your income, it's a big deal to get that kind of be able to do that and do it consistently. It's really, really important to be able to trade consistently and successfully. Obviously, trading success does make you financial freedom. If you can trade successfully, you don't have to rely on anybody else. We're all responsible for our wins and losses. Okay, what I've presented here, and I didn't want to go into an awful lot of detail of all the different indexes, because you can kind of get tied up in the details of that. But for what I've shown you, this is the Compass trading system, and I use it every single day with all my trades. And you've seen what's there. You can obviously you don't do anything, or you can actually get the system and become one of the people who are trading successfully using the Compass system, as well as other methodologies. I can't guarantee anybody's is gonna get rich off of any system, but this is going to give you the best opportunity to be successful in trading, which is, if that's what you want. I know that's what I wanted. This will do that for you. And this is this information that comes with this. We've got the rapid results quick stock guide. If you get it, these workspace in TOS actually comes and they'll actually, if you want, they'll put it right on your machine for you. They do what they call the white glove installation. The tech down in right line will just get into your machine and put it right on there for you, so you don't have any kind of technical issues trying to get it set up and running. And you get unlimited support, of course. They're great as far as getting any kind of response for any kind of issues you have. The response time is tremendous. I've used it. And here's the software system and what it contains. These are the prices that you would normally pay for these type of things. This is important here. You get free lifetime upgrades. If you get the system, you will get upgrades for free for life. And the support, of course, is important. And coaching sessions. I have a room where I do option trading, and I'm coaching in there all day long, basically explaining how the system's being used. Any stocks that I'm trading, we'll go over how that's done. And this really is the normal price on this thing is $1,497 a year, and well worth it, money has. But for the folks that are here today, the first 20 traders, it's for the software. They come aboard and get the software. You're going to get some more, and this is the one of the things you're going to get is the scanner, the market scanner that's set up in TOS. We have a scanner that looks for the particular setups that we would likely to trade, and it produces the results, and you can just look on those stocks and see which ones are set up the best. And we have the scanner itself actually has multiple scans in there now. It has a scan for pop out of the boxes, crosses of the trend lines across the 15. It also has a relative strength and a relative weakness scanner that compares the stock to the S&P, the SPY for that particular time frame you're looking at. So you can find stocks that have relative strength, relative weakness all day long, and trade those. So that, yeah, the scanner comes with it, and we're working on the scanner all the time. The scanner itself, if you get the software, you also get my watch list. I've got a watch list of about 750 stocks that I scan against every day that typically are good stocks for trading options on. And so the scan will run against that particular watch list. If you want it, you can have it. It comes with the software. And you're going to get 1 month free access to I have an options trading room. Mark has a trading room with Ninja that he trades every morning, and it got rated one of the top 10 in the USA. I think that he's got an awful lot of people that have been in the room. I don't trade Ninja. I don't have the Ninja system, but I know a lot of people do, and they really like this, and it was rated very highly. Again, so what we're offering today, and I'm really adamant about how good this software is, how much it's done to help me, is that you can get the software for $9.97. This is really, I bought this one before I associated with Rightline, because it's an investment, and it's a one-time investment. It's basically one of the tools you need to trade. If trading is your business, you need to have a tool, and to get that without a recurring cost is to me was a no-brainer. I mean, I had to go out and get it for sure. And again, it's going to come with the market scanner. It's going to come with the my live trading room. I have a live options trading room where I trade every day from market open to market close. I call out the trades, tell you what price to get in, where I'm getting in, where I'm getting out. We text alert out, I SMS the text alerts on every trade that I take. And it's you basically get to trade along with me, and I think that's a big, to me it's a big deal, because I'm going to be showing you my methodology and why I'm getting into a trade or why I'm not getting into a trade, showing you the compass system and showing you standard technical analysis that's reinforcing that particular trade. And again, I think this is a really great opportunity. I loved it when I got it. It was a big deal for me. I told everybody I know about it. So anyway, that's the offer, and that covers the software as much as I want. I mean, it's been 50 minutes. I don't want to spend 2 hours taking up your Saturday afternoon talking about this, but basically we're offering the additions, actually the first 20 trades here. And if you think you might be interested, you can just go ahead and put your name in the phone number in the chat box, and Rory will talk to you. And there's no pressure, believe me. He'll just ask you if you have some questions. You can ask him about it. You're going to get the 3 additions to the software package we talked about, and that's basically the end of the webinar as far as presentation is concerned. I'm gonna look and see if there's if I have some questions out here. Okay. Is there a link? Yeah, I think. I have to ask if you. I think see if Rory's got a link. Somebody, is there a link for the purchase? Somebody wants to know. He's telling me right now. It's in the chat box. All right, you put the link in the chat box for anybody who wants it. You can just hit the link there. That'll take you to it. And if people attack me in the name, that's good. Somebody asked me, I showed Renko on the webinar. Do I use Renko? I don't use Renko. I use Time, but Mark uses Ninja with a lot of traders, and Renko is one of the candlestick setups that Ninja uses. All right. Somebody asked me, how does the system improve upon using the already available indicators out there, which can be used in combination by any retail trader? And I think the fact that you're looking at the Laguerre across multiple time frames, you're looking at quants across multiple time frames, you're looking at momentum across multiple time frames. You're not you're not going to be able to put those things together effectively. I mean, you can look at one or two indicators, a couple of different time frames, but you're not going to be able to do the detailed analysis that's being done by the Compass system, looking for these multiple time frame indicators. It just, believe me, I've been doing this 12 years. I've looked at every combination and permutation of indicator that's available. I've looked at every oscillator. There's so many of them. There's hundreds and hundreds of them, and I've tried lots and lots of combinations and permutations, and I've been to 110 different sites, websites, rooms that do teach trading, and quantified most of the what they do in most of them, and was not impressed. And somebody asked about use a TraderView. I do use TraderView. Somebody asked for a link. Okay, this Rory will look at these in here. So okay, someone wants me to cover the scanner tool. I'll do that. I'll do that here in just a second. What minimum account size to trade with me in the live room? If you're trading options, one of the things about account sizes is if you have a smaller account size, unless you treat it, if you treat it as a cash account, you can trade it as much as you want. If you don't, then you're limited to what's called a pattern day trader, which means you can only trade 3 trades in 5 days. But what I try to do in the room is find some overnight type. I did, like I showed a couple up there, where I take the trades at 3 o'clock, 3:30 in the afternoon, get out the next morning. It doesn't count as a day trade. So account size is kind of it's difficult to say. I would say you need to have probably $5,000, but that's just my opinion. Works on futures. Yes, it does work on futures. I actually use it on futures. I trade in the evening on futures, and I trade off of the Compass system on that. Will it work on a volatile market? Well, I mean, yeah, I mean that's one of the things it'll do is identify the volatility. Now, the volatility though can be pretty vicious, and what you're trying to do is stay with the trend. So it's important, like for me, it's important when I look at it, when I take a trade, let's say an intraday trade, I'm looking at a 5-minute chart, but I also want the daily chart to correlate with that. If I'm going long, on an intraday trade, I want the daily chart also to be a bullish setup, so that I can stay with the trade if I need to. It gives me a lot more flexibility to stay in the trade longer if I know it's bullish on the daily, and if I have to hold it overnight, I can. How do you get in and out fast with options? I mean, typically the way I trade options, I don't scalp. I'm not a scalping. I don't scalp trades. I look for, at least a few candlesticks, but mostly I try to get an hour or two. And basically what I do is when I get into a trade, I have an idea where I think the stock should go, and I'll set a sell order as soon as I get filled, or soon after that. I'll set a sell order for my option trade, and get that out there, and then I can adjust this if I need to. But I have an order working, so if the stock pops, I can get in. Let's see, just running through some of this here. Somebody asked about a call debit spread as opposed to a straight up call. If the trade and trends are clearly in your favor, yeah, I mean, I'm only going to take a call debit spread on a stock that I think is trading in my favor. It's got to be bullish. That's the whole point of the trade. PDS, a put debit spread, it would be bearish. And there are times when I use straight calls, but I go out further in time than the week. Somebody asked how do I determine overbought when there was a likelihood of a retracement. If you're looking at your technicals on a stock, on for example on the trend lines or the trend dots, when they get extended far above the 15, it's just there's likely going to be a retracement. So it's like anything. If you're looking at an exponential moving average, and the stock price gets extended from an exponential moving average, that's you have to be wary. I mean, you want to be getting ready to take profits, because there generally is a reversion to the mean. And do I trade bearish setups? Yes, all the time. I take bearish setups, bullish setups. I try to trade bearish when the market's bearish and bullish when the market's bullish. If I get a choppy market, I'll just try to trade stocks that have relative strength or relative weakness against the SPY if the SPY is chopping, and I have much better success with those kind of stocks because they're outperforming either to the upside or to the downside. And somebody's asked for swing trades, what long-term positions, what indicators do I use? And basically, the swing trades, I'm just looking at the indicators that we looked at, and I'm looking at them on a daily chart, instead of a on something like this. I'd be looking at these indicators on a daily chart. Everything that we talked about on the 5-minute chart, I'm looking at the daily. Same thing. I mean, these indicators work on every time frame. It doesn't really make any difference what time frame you're in. You can use them on minutes if you want, 5 minutes. You can use them an hour, 4 hour, daily. I use 5-minute and daily. So. And someone wants to know if there's a recording. Yeah, this webinar has been recorded, so you can get copies of it. Somebody asked, do I have to check the overall market to know which side of the market you should be on? Well, most of the time I'm day trading. So obviously I want to be day trading in the direction of the market for that day. and it's helpful to be able to trade in the direction of the market for if it's in a bearish setup. The market's been bullish for about 13 years. With intermediate corrections that take place. So, ideally what you're looking for is to, when you get a big pullback, to try to find support and then trade to the long side as the market resumes the bullish trend that it's been in for so long. I'm just trying to see if there's any other questions I missed in here. Somebody said their record is some winners, some losers, never really make money. I mean, this is the thing with trading. Most people, frankly, most people don't make money trading. They jump from one place to the next one shiny object to another shiny object. There's a successful methodology in trading that you have to be disciplined and follow, and you have to have the tools to do it. Somebody had wondered if I could make it whistle Dixie when I'm time to get out of a trade. And haven't done that. I think that's Kramer's thing. Somebody asked, I use credit spreads. I do use credit spreads. I use credit spreads a lot when the market's set up for credit spreads. When you have a big, huge correction like we had in January, when you find the bottom, like it appears to have basically found, that's when I start looking at for credit spreads for two reasons. One, obviously you're likely to get a bounce, and so you can do credit spreads, put credit spreads and bring in some income. And secondly, the volatility in the options on a market pullback like that goes up, so you can collect more premium on the credit spreads in this situation than you normally could. Somebody says they have IB Interactive Brokers. Does it work on it? It does work in Interactive Brokers. I don't use it, but I don't use Interactive Brokers, but it does run on there. And anything like that, if you call Rory, they can tell you exactly which ones it'll work on. I mean, I know it works on Ninja, Interactive Broker, obviously Thinkorswim. Somebody asked, what future and time frame do I trade in the evening? I usually trading either the NQ or the ES, and the time frames with futures, it depends. I mean, I'll get in and just ride the momentum one way or the other for as long as I can. Typically, it's not a very long time. I don't stay at futures like overnight mostly because it's heavily leveraged. Somebody wants to know if it's the same software that Mark uses for futures trades, or is it different for options. It's the same software. I mean, it looks different on Ninja, just because the platforms are going to are gonna present the data in a little different view, just because of the differences between Ninja and TOS. But the information the information that's being presented is the same. Somebody says, "What's my probabilities?" You know, in December I had a 94% win rate. In January it dropped down to about 86. In February just starting 80. January was a big correction. So, but my intraday trades stay 90% or so. I mean, I have losers too. Everybody has losers. Anybody tells you they get a system that doesn't have produce losers is not telling you the truth. Option trades 5 minutes normally. Yes, option trades 5 minute normally. Yeah, somebody asked if for those who are not allowed day trading, how is the strategy to be modified? And again, typically, if I'm taking a long, I'm generally taking a long that I expect I could swing it if I want to. Now, I would say about 70% of my trades that I take in the room are day trades, but 95% of the trades I take can be swung. And again, I do try to find some trades later in the day, 3:30, that you can take as a real quick trade and get out in the morning, and that avoids being treated as a day trade. Can the scanner have other stocks added to it? Yeah, you can. You can in TOS. If you know think or swim, you know you can set up other watch lists. You can set up as many watch lists as you want and scan against whatever watch list you want. If you have specific stocks that you like to watch, 20 stocks that you like to watch or whatever, you can put those in a watch list and scan against those. And somebody want to know if the trading room would be any benefit to swing traders. Well, I swing trade. Swing trading is, again, swing trading, you need to have a good market trend to be in it. But yeah, I mean, I swing trade quite a lot. It's going to do better at certain times with market conditions than others. So you have to be kind of pick and choose. Do I think the majority of my trades are overnight? No. About 70% of my trades are intraday. If I get into a trade and I can be up 20%, 25%, 30% in an hour, I'm likely going to take the money, especially in a choppy market. I'm likely going to take it. Sometimes I'll actually take some trades and I'll take multiple option contracts and I'll sell some of them and hold some of them. You know, if I like it on the daily, but I want to pull down some profits, I'll take profits and hold the rest. And somebody asked, is the compass system primarily a breakout system? That's not. It's the compass system is showing us when and where the institutions are trading. The particular methodology or strategy. I mean, I use breakouts a lot, but I mean, it doesn't have to be like that. I mean, there'll be many times that if a stock is not too far extended, I'll take what would be considered a momentum trade. It's moving some. I'm not going to take these quick trades that shoot up $10 and then back down $6 or $8, but I will join the trend. You know, if one of the things I trade is that stocks that get to all-time highs. A lot of people are hesitant to take stocks that reach an all-time high, but stocks that get to an all-time high have a much higher probability of going up than most other stocks. So that's not really considered a breakout part system. So it just, you know, there's not one particular strategy. Somebody asked me about stop orders. We get into a lot of details on trading, and I go over this in the room, but you know, if you get the software and you come into my room, then you know a lot of these questions I cover every day, and you can ask them from me. I answer questions all day long. You know, do I put stops on all orders? My stops are all mental. I never have any hard stops. And one of the reasons I don't have hard stops, we talked about the algos. The algos, they can see all of those. If a lot of traders have a stop at a particular price, the algos know that. They have programs that go in and they'll drive the stock down to 3 or 4 cents below the stop, take out all the stops, and then they come right back in again. You have to understand this is why traditional technical analysis doesn't work the way it used to. I answered that one already. I think I've got most of the questions. There's a lot of people in the room here that are in my room, and I promised them that I would look at the scanner. So I'm going to try to do that here. All right. So this is the if people want to learn about the scanner, this is the compass system right here, and these are the scans over here on the watch list right here. And the way you do a scan is you have a watch list. This is using mine. Go to scan right here. It says liquid RLT. That's my watch list. About 750 stocks. This is the scan setup we're using. So I go over here and I say load scan query, and I go to personal, and I get all these scans. And here's the RLT scan. This is the scan for right line trading, for looking for pop out of the boxes and other bullish setups. And it's going to scan it, and it's going to put the results out here for you. And it's running against that watch list, and it's going to move these around as I've got them sorted by the biggest net gain. But you can in TOS you can set this watch list up with any kind of headings that you want, and you can put volume in there, you can put percentage gains, set it up any way you want and sort it that way. Because I'm always looking for the ones that are performing the best. And then I go back here, and the way I've got it set up, this has a drop down here for the symbol link, and I have the symbol link up here. So when I click on these stocks, they're going to pop up on the chart, and I can see what the chart looks like if I'm trading daily, this would be a daily chart. I'd be looking to see what this looks like on the daily. If I'm trading 5-minute, I have an RLT 5-minute scan that I'd be running during the day for intraday trades. If I was looking for swing trades, overnight trades, I would use the daily RLT scan, which is this one right here. And this is a relative strength versus a SPY, and you can have that scan running at the same time. So you can have a bunch of them on here, but you can have a couple of these. So all you do is go to scan, load scan, go to personal, and where it'll be in there, you'll have the RLT scan. If you get the software, Sergio will put the software on your system. You'll have the RLT scan, you'll have the relative strength versus a SPY, you'll have the relative weakness versus a SPY, you'll have the RLT 5-minute scan. So you get all of those scans in my watch list to scan again. So you'll be basically looking at the same stocks I'm looking at. You know, the whole idea of being able to get a system like this Compass system is to be able to trade on your own. You know, you want to be able to trade on your own. Eventually, I mean, that's when as I was learning, that's what I wanted to do. People asking, do I do a lot of teaching? I do a lot of, I try to do a lot of education in the room. I'm scanning most of the day looking for stocks, and I'm not scalping 20 times a day. You know, I'm trading, 2, 3, 4, 5 trades, and people ask questions, and as I see something that comes up that I think is important, I'll bring it up on the screen, and we'll talk about the particular setup, compass wise, how to use it, what I'm seeing, what I'm looking for. You know, this is a compression area that comes with your compass system. There's good support and resistance levels that come with this, and as I'm getting ready to trade or talking about a trade, we'll discuss the trade and why I'm taking it or not taking it, and talk about some of the strategies, how we're looking at relative strength, how we're looking for breakouts on a stock, and when the pop out of the box signals come up. You know, those are things that we talk about in the room all the time. I mean, that's what it's for. It's for education. Yeah, there's a couple of questions on do I treat strategies? Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm trying to do is help people learn to trade, I guess, the way I trade. I mean, the methodology that I'm using. If you're in the room with me, that's what we're going to talk about. That's what you're going to see my trades. You're going to see how I'm taking those trades, why I'm taking those trades. We'll talk about the option chain. We'll talk about which particular strikes to use. You know, I always use in the money strikes on options that I take. You know, that's all part of learning to trade successfully. These are elements of that. I learned to teach you how to do debit spreads, how to do credit spreads if you don't know how to do that, and try to instill that information in you. So you know, to be a successful trader, you have to have multiple strategies to be able to use depending on market conditions. So it's really important to do as much as you can with those kind of things. All right, hope I answered the questions about the scanners over here now. I'm just looking at some more questions, see if there's anything else that's come in. Again, I've taken up almost an hour and a half of your time. One of the things people ask me about whether, they can't stare at the screen all day. They're out doing things and everything. That's why we put the SMS alert in. The trades that get sent out on it with a text alert to your phone. I do that as soon as when I do the trade, I put it out there. When I set a price target or an option sell order, I put that out, and then when we close the trade, I text that out. So you can follow along on those. And if you're in a trade, you'll be able to see when I set the order to sell it, it'll come to your phone, and when we do sell it, it'll show you. So you'll if you have the order working, you'll know. I got somebody say in the room they wished I talked more. I have people at home who tell me they wish I talked less. I get pretty exercised about the trading and using the compass system along with the relative strength, relative weakness, trading with the trend. I mean, these are things that are going to make you successful trading. It's really, it's not rocket science. It really, you just have to learn the discipline and stick with the discipline. Basically you got to get a trade with an edge, and you've got to try to keep your emotions out of it as much as possible. And having a good system like Compass is really important, because that's what you're going to rely on. Not your instincts of whether you think the stock's going to run higher or run lower, or if it's too high or it's too low. You have to get rid of that. You have to get rid of that mentality. A few questions about, is it recorded? It is. You'll be able, you'll get it, or anybody who signed up will get a copy of it, I think. Is the scanner web-based? No, the scanner is built into TOS. I don't like web-based stuff for trading. It's too slow. This is inside the TOS is loaded. You load the software down on your computer, and the scanner is part of that software. Somebody made a comment about what I said about not trading your instincts or your gut. They traded their instincts and had a great day and then lost it all the next. It's really true. I mean, trading is very emotional. You've got to try to keep the emotions out of it, and there needs to be, you have to have something like the compass system to do that for you. You've got to have something that is you following this based on logic, trading logic, and not on your gut instincts. Those gut instincts will kill you. I mean, wants me to look at CBS. I guess I'll look at it. There you go, CBS on the daily. Mixed colors, nothing great. And I during the day in the room when you're trading with me, I do. People will give me tickers they're looking at, and I'll bring them up and we can look at them. Like I said, I do spend a lot of my time scanning. When you're looking for specific condition setups like relative strength, relative weakness, also watching the market to make sure the market's you're going in the direction of the trend of the market, looking at your scanner and then looking for stocks that are like compressing and getting ready to pop out and buy them when they do that. It takes a little time. It takes my time to do that, but I'm looking at the questions all the time and try to help people in the room as much as possible. I mean, you're trading with me. I'm trying to make everybody money. I mean, I'm trying to teach you to trade better, try to generate some money for you, and I mean that's what I'm there for. I'm in the trades I take. When I give you a trade, I'm in it. I'm in the trade with you. So when things are going against me, I know it as quickly as you do. Believe me, I'm watching the stock. So it does. You do have to have patience in this business. If you have a methodology and you have a conviction about a particular stock, like I did with Snap on Friday, and when it pulled back some, but the market pulled back even more. So when a stock pulls back against the market, but is pulling back less than the market, then the stock still has relative strength. And I had great confidence that Snap was going to recover and make us money. It did. We made a pretty good chunk on that one. But I had options out a couple of weeks, so if it didn't fill at my profit target for that day, I had no problem keeping it over the weekend into next week. But you have to have patience. When you have a conviction in a trend for a stock, I mean, listen, stocks don't go straight up and straight down. Stocks jog all over the place, and those jogs are meant to scare you out of it. I mean, that's what it's there for. That's what most people can't stick with it because they either they take too big a position, so their risk is too high, and when the stock pulls back, they look at their P&L and they just can't take it. I personally, I don't even look at my P&L during the day. I'm just looking at the technicals on the stock, what I see on the compass system, if the stock's maintaining relative strength, like Snap did, I'm going to stay in it. Yeah, it pulls back, you're down money. Yeah, I mean listen, every trade you take is not going to be green as soon as you enter it. That's why you need to have a good setup, a good structure setup, and know that the institutions are in there at the same time. When institutions were buying Snap like crazy Friday, then it started to pull back. They moved out of it for a little bit, and then half an hour later they came back into it again. This happens all the time. Somebody wanted to see Apple under the close. And there it is. Market pulled back hard Friday, late Friday afternoon, and as Apple went down with it. So I still like Apple. That's the snap chart for Friday. Gap up, big buy-in, a lot of green. Institutions step back, gets red, institutions come in, up it goes. Somebody wants my thoughts on the Q long term. I don't really want to get into big long, I can answer lots of questions, but technical stuff like that. Long term, the Qs, I like the Qs long term. I mean, what depends on what long term means. A week, a month, a year. I mean, if you go out a year, I mean, I love the Qs. The techs will do great. Somebody asked where I entered snap long on Friday. You know, it was in the morning before the pullback, probably somewhere in here when it broke this pivot point, and then it pulled back on me hard. But again, I had conviction on the daily, and I had conviction that it was going to come back, and it did. I don't remember where I get out. It was lunchtime sometime where I get out, I think. You see the market, the stocks move around a lot. And if you're a scalper, you can scalp off a candle, but or to go to the 1 minute chart and scalp off a candle. I don't do that. I don't call out any trades like that. It's impossible to manage trades that are that quick. I do a disservice to anybody if I do that. I might say people, I'm SPY long looks good right here, but I'm not going to post a trade, but I'll tell them that SPY long looks good. Because I have to take the time to post it and send it out in a text. So he said my entry in Snap was about 10 o'clock. Yeah, it's right there when the word broke. Yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna unless there's any more questions here. We've been on an hour and a half. That's probably enough time for folks. I hope that I was able to show you the power of this compass system and what it's done for me. I mean, again, they're complex indicators, but the way they're displayed is really, really nice. It's the visual presentation that's so helpful because I can look real quickly and see what's going on. And then you have to internalize it. You got to get used to looking for these compressions and buy signals and things like that. But once you're used to it, it's really, really easy to use. Really easy to use, and it's gonna really help your trading discipline. I mean, listen, trading is not easy. You need the best tools you can to do this. And I think having a compass tool is a really inexpensive investment for somebody who wants to actually trade and make money. All right, folks, I'm going to sign off. I really appreciate everybody coming to the webinar, taking your time on Saturday to listen to the presentation. Like I said, I'm really excited about this. What it's done for me. I've been trading with it for about 6 months, and I traded with it for quite a long time before I actually became part of Brightline. And I know people are always skeptical of that, but I've been trading a long time, and I was looking for something that could show me the institutional type buying and selling. It was the thing that I was missing, the key that I was missing to bring my trading to the next level, because I have good technical analysis abilities. I'm gonna brag, but I've been doing technical analysis for a long time. My methodologies are all very, very strong. But I didn't want to see win rates dropping off because of the algos were doing it to me. I don't want to get taken advantage of by them. And there will be a recording of this. Yeah, this will be recording. And I'm going to close the webinar. And listen, thank you all so very much for being here again. I appreciate you taking the time to listen to me to talk about it. Like I said, I hope you can see how vehement I am about how much of a help this system is. And I hope that you get to get the system, and I hope to see you in my option room. Have a great afternoon, everyone.